My name is Hannah, and this is my no-buy year. This is the second time I've filmed this type of video. It's called Makeup I Have That's Better Than Makeup I Want, and I'm really excited to film it. And I'm also really excited because you guys can't tell, but I have kind of a new setup in here right now. Previous to today, my filming equipment was in here. This is my office, but my vanity with all of my makeup and skincare and my big mirror was in the bedroom. And I just decided to move that stuff in here so that it's kind of now a half office, half filming and beauty space, and I can do all of my skincare and makeup in here, which is actually nice because Joe and I sometimes are awake and asleep at different times of day, and it's nice for me to be able to be in here getting ready to leave the house early, for example, if he's sleeping in. And it's also obviously ideal for filming videos because previous to today, I used to have to go in there and collect everything that I was going to show or use into a box and then bring it in here and then do the video and then bring it back in there and put it all away. But now everything is right here in front of me. I have all my makeup, I have a drawer with makeup, I have all my skincare. So I'm excited about an improved situation. Anyway, the premise of this video is very clear, I think, from the title. As you all know, this is my no-buy year. I'm not buying any new makeup this year, and I found it a useful strategy to go through my collection and find things that I already own that are better than the new releases that I've sort of been wanting. Or also, they're not all new releases. A lot of the things that I want are things that have been on my wish list long term. These kind of magical items that I'm constantly thinking about and wishing that I could have and thinking that they would change my life. So some of them are kind of classics or things that have been on my list for a long time and are no longer really new. It's just that because it's my no-buy year, I didn't buy them when they were new, and I still can't buy them now. You guys understand what's happening. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. So the first two items that I want to talk about actually are brand new releases, and they're both eyeshadow palettes and they're both from ColourPop. The first one is the ColourPop Fame palette. This is ColourPop's brand new release. They're touting it as their first ever cool toned eyeshadow palette and one of the most highly requested eyeshadow palettes in the history of their brand. So apparently people have been begging and begging ColourPop for a cool toned eyeshadow palette, and they have finally delivered. I enjoy a cool toned look, not necessarily a full-on purple or blue colorful look, but a smoky eye that's actually smoke colored. That's the kind of thing that I enjoy. I like how classic it looks. I think it suits my coloring pretty well, better sometimes than warm tone shadows. Sometimes when I really go in with like the orange and orange soda type of shadows, I can actually look a little sick. I love a taupe. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love a good taupe shadow, and I tend to reach for taupe as a base for my eye looks much more often than I'll reach for a warm brown transition shade. I just find that it looks more sophisticated on me. Not necessarily more mature, but just more classy, more clean, a little bit more subtle even. I like a taupe. So I'm glad that this trend is coming about, and when I first saw that ColourPop was releasing cool toned eyeshadow palette, I thought, wow, that's something I would definitely be buying if it weren't my no-buy year. And that's because I love the ColourPop eyeshadow formula. These are all of my single shadows. I know there's like a blush and a bronzer and highlighter in this one, but the rest of these are single eyeshadows. And almost all of these are ColourPop. Apart from a number of kind of purples and silvery purples, they really do lean warm, especially when it comes to transition shades. So when it comes to kind of lid shades and shades for deepening up the crease, I do have a number of these kind of purpley, plummy types of things and silvery purple looks for the lid These shadows are good for kind of doing like a burgundy look. But in spite of having carefully made sure to purchase enough cool tone shadows that I could kind of do my thing with my singles, my collection of single shadows it feels like bloated with warm toned transition shades and warm toned base shades. Whenever I'm dealing with my singles, I kind of wish that I had more cool tone shades from ColourPop because I love doing looks with their eyeshadows. So I've been waiting. This is something I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for ColourPop to release a cool tone shadow palette so that I could buy it and depot it and mix those shades in with my other singles. And the price is right, the quality is high, it's just a beautiful palette and it would be useful to me. The shades, some of them would be very useful to me, and I know that it would make my collection more complete. So that's why I want this palette, and that's why if I had never started this journey towards frugality and minimalism and trying to change my habits, I would have already purchased this palette. However, if you watched my most recent video, you will have seen me say that I don't need any other cool tone palettes. I don't need to buy any of the cool toned new releases that are sure to be coming up over the second half of this year because I already have the Marc Jacobs Style Icon palette from the 2016 holiday season. So look at this palette. And I'll put the ColourPop picture back up too and the other one so you can see them together. This palette has a lot of the same types of shades, and when I look at that ColourPop palette and I imagine the looks that I would be doing with it, it's all the same looks that I do with this. And it has the disadvantage, that ColourPop palette, of not having these deeper grays in it. So there's like a soft charcoal gray and a dark charcoal gray as well as a black in this palette, whereas I believe the ColourPop palette stays kind of on the light grayish silver lavender type of side of the spectrum. Its darkest color is like a dark matte aubergine, which is something that I have a couple of times over in my singles and in my other palettes. It's like a dark matte aubergine. So I clearly don't need that ColourPop palette. I know by year, so I'm obviously not going to buy it, but it couldn't be more clear to me when I really take a look at my collection that I genuinely don't need it. It's almost like the watered down, weak little sister of this palette. Like everything that the ColourPop palette has that this doesn't have is something that I wouldn't really use that much. And everything that this has that the ColourPop palette doesn't have, I love. And where there's overlap, I think if there were one shadow formula that I liked better than the ColourPop formula, it would be the Marc Jacobs formula. To me, they're kind of neck and neck with a little bit of preference towards Marc Jacobs just because it's so luxe and luxe feeling, and I'm a real sucker for that kind of thing. So enough said, this Marc Jacobs palette is way better for me than the new ColourPop palette, and I already have it. So the second thing that I kind of want from ColourPop right now is their other recently released eyeshadow palette, which is the collaboration with Shayla, that really colorful shadow palette. I guess it's called the Perception palette. This is just incredibly beautiful, and it's the same situation. I love the ColourPop formula, and I've heard that the formula of this palette in particular is actually kind of a step up even from their regular formula. It's got all these beautiful, colorful shimmers in it, and as you saw when I held up my singles, that's something that I don't have in the ColourPop formula. I have mostly like neutrals and golds and bronzes in my singles. It's a situation of the fact that the price would have made this a no-brainer for me in my old life. That this beautiful palette with so many shadows and so many beautiful colors and the really grungy looks that people have been getting out of this palette, I would have just bought it right away. It would have been in my cart, it would have been purchased, and I wouldn't have thought twice about it. I would have felt like this is something that is filling a hole in my collection. Like that's what I would have thought. I would have thought, oh, I don't have anything like this. This is inexpensive and high quality, and I don't have this, so I'm gonna get it. That's what I would have done. And when I started to look at my collection and wonder if I already have anything that's even remotely similar to this is what came up. The old Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. There are a lot of shades in the Shayla ColourPop palette that have, if not a twin, at least a sister in the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. And if you do a lot of colorful looks, if really, really dramatic, colorful, or even colorful grungy looks are your thing, then it would make sense that you would want sisters, right? That you would want to have a collection that has a number of shadows that are almost the same but not quite, so that you can really control the exact tone of the colorful look that you do today versus the exact tone of the colorful look that you do tomorrow. I could totally see in another lifetime, in another world, that it might be the case that the blues, for example, in this palette and the blues in the ColourPop Shayla palette would create radically different looks, and that I would really, really feel gratified to pay for all of them and have them all in my collection. I could see a world in which that would be true, but that's just not my world right now. I never use those blue shadows. I never use the colors in the Jaclyn Hill palette that are sisters to the colors in the Shayla palette. I almost never use them. The ones that I use a lot are like the golds and the bronzes and the shimmery pinks, and those are the ones that are the most similar between the two palettes. Those golds and silvers and metallic pinks are the kinds of things that are really hard to tell the difference between when they're actually on the eye. So once I thought of the Jaclyn Hill palette as a potential sister or potential semi-dupe for this Makeup Shayla palette, and I went through shade by shade, I was like, who am I kidding? I already have this palette and it's much, much bigger and more diverse than the Shayla palette. I would have been a fool to buy the Shayla ColourPop palette since I already have the Jaclyn Hill palette. But if it weren't my no-buy year, I would have done it. I just finished filming, but I'm popping back on here because I forgot to say that when I was looking at the Jaclyn Hill palette next to the Shayla ColourPop palette, the one shade in the Shayla ColourPop palette that's really extraordinary and different from anything in the Jaclyn Hill palette is that blue-brown pigment shift shade that's duped in so many places. It's like MAC blue-brown pigment was kind of the original. Then there's Urban Decay Lounge, which I own, and there's also a dupe for that shade in the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone palette. That's Urban Decay Lounge, and that's the Wet n Wild one from the Comfort Zone palette. It behaves more as a topper. It probably can be built up. Yeah, it does build a little bit, and maybe packing it on with a wet brush, you might be able to get it up to the level of Urban Decay Lounge. My guess is that the ColourPop one is more like Lounge and less like the Wet n Wild one. So if the only dupe that I had for MAC blue-brown pigment was the Wet n Wild palette, I might be more tempted by the Shayla palette because the shade that looks like this that's in that palette promises to be a really rich, buttery color with a lot of depth. But because I have this single Urban Decay Lounge, I really don't need another one. So I'm either inserting this from the future or I'm tacking on to the end of my video, but I just wanted to make sure that I got that in there. So you guys know that I'm not just conveniently forgetting that there are some shades in the Shayla palette that aren't in the Jaclyn Hill palette. I actually just also have dupes for that color. And honestly, what could be better than Lounge? All right, let's move on to a couple of lip products that I have been wanting. I really want to try nude sticks. There's something about that brand that is super appealing to me. The aesthetic, the marketing. Mariah Leonard, for example, is always talking about nude sticks, and she, to me, just has such exquisite taste and style, especially when it comes to makeup. And the things that she loves and the things that she thinks have a beautiful effect are often the things that I find the most compelling. So something I've had for a long time on my Sephora loves list, on my wish list, is the Nude Sticks Magnetic Matte Lip Color. It's like their basic lip product, and I really want it. If it weren't my no-buy year, I would have bought one or maybe even two of these long ago. Long ago. It's the kind of thing that really sucks me in. I just want to be surrounded by these cool girl nude sticks and be using them all the time. In spite of the fact that I have like 50 lip products and that I don't even come close to wearing them all enough to make it worthwhile to have all of these, I know that I would have been buying these nude sticks like it was my job if it wasn't my no-buy year. So the two colors that I've had on my wish list in this product, the two colors that I want, are Rose and Boho. Boho is sort of a creamy brown. So I sat down and took a look at my collection, and not only did I immediately find two lip products that are really similar in style and color to these two nude sticks, but they're two of my favorite lip products. Like, they're two products that I love so much that I consider them to be irreplaceable for me. One is the much talked about Bite Beauty matte lip pencil in the color Glacé, and the other is the Nars satin lip pencil in Het Lou. So here's what they look like. So there is Glacé from Bite Beauty, and there is Het Lou from Nars. So these are both creamy pencils that can be layered on thick like a lipstick or blotted to somewhat of a stain. They are two of my all-time favorite formulas. I absolutely love the formula, both of the Bite pencil and the Nars satin lip pencil. I just love these. There's no way, no matter how good these nude sticks are, and they might be good and they might be something that I enjoy, but there's no way that these two colors that I want could be better in both color and formula than these two holy grail lip products. And I don't want them to be. I don't want that. I love these. I want to continue to love and cherish these and to wear these a lot and to use these up. They are perfect for me. The other lip product that I've been eyeing, that I have been keeping on my Sephora loves list and checking out from time to time, is the Guerlain Le Petite Robe Noir Deliciously Shiny Lipstick. Now, I found out about this product because of a sample. I was reordering some of my skincare and it came with a sample pack of this product. I guess it's a new product from Guerlain. It's like a really, really lacquer shiny lipstick, and I wore it and I just loved it. It was incredibly nourishing. It was lovely on the lips. I loved the shiny look. I loved both the pink and the red shiny colors that came in the packet, and if it weren't my no-buy year, I would have just immediately bought it. I would have been like, I love this lip product, I have to have it, and I would have bought it. So it's something that I'm interested in maybe buying at some point in the future, but the reason that I knew that I was into shiny lipstick right now is because of this Vesuvius liquid lipstick from Lipstick Queen. And you guys have seen me wear this and use it. I used it in one of my makeup demonstrations and I was wearing it in one of my empties videos. It's really, really red and really, really shiny. And it also has a slight tingling, I think maybe even a slight plumping effect, because it's definitely got some mintiness going on or something. And the color, it says it's in the color Coral. To me, it's like a red coral, but it's a really flattering red. It's a really fun, bright red, and it lasts a really long time. It stays shiny. It's just perfect. And why would I run out and buy another shiny lacquer red lipstick when this isn't used up yet? Because they look the same. And I already have this one and it's perfect. So it's perfect. The Guerlain one might be perfect. I don't know. I don't know. If the Guerlain one is also perfect, then maybe this one isn't absolutely and without a doubt better than it. Maybe they're equally as good. But the effect is the same. And when I want to rock that look, I already have a thing that helps me do that. I want to talk about this weird compulsion to acquire more of something that we have in our collection that we like. Even though we already have it, we want more. So for example, this was in my collection for a long time, but I wasn't using it very often. I wasn't really wearing shiny lips. I didn't really know the product that well. I had just bought it on a whim one time and I had it. So then I started wearing it a couple of months ago. I reached for it, I loved it, I started wearing it, and I started really appreciating the effect of a super shiny, glossy red lip for day or night. I just got really into this vinyl shiny lip. And I was like, awesome, I'm so into this. And then what that made me want to do was to go out and buy more really shiny lipstick. Even though the reason that I knew that I liked it was because I had found it in my own collection. So rather than just being like, wow, I'm really into this lipstick right now and I already have it, I'm gonna wear it a lot. I mean, I did do that, but it didn't stop there. I continued on and I was like, and I'm going to go find this exact product in the same color, but in a different formulation from a different brand, and I'm gonna buy that too. That's what I would have done if it wasn't my no-buy year. I would have gone and found like a dupe for this, an expensive dupe, and I would have bought it because I like this so much. Why? Why? I've done that so many times in my life. Why? If the reason you discover that you like the thing is because you found it in your own collection, just rejoice that you rediscovered something that you have, that you love, and stop there. Like, this is either as good or quite possibly, almost positively better than the Guerlain one that I don't have. Okay, and the last product that I'm going to talk about is something that isn't new, but that has been on my wish list and my loves list for a really, really long time. It's like one of those permanent fixtures on my wish list. And the reason that I've been thinking about it is that I saw the announcement just yesterday that Charlotte Tilbury is coming to Sephora, which we all knew was going to happen eventually. It's been a long time coming, but Charlotte Tilbury really belongs in Sephora. So I don't know what took them so long, but I'm glad that they sorted it out. Anyway, the thing that I want is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. It's the double compact with the highlight and the bronzer, and it's just the name and the packaging and the aesthetic of Charlotte Tilbury, which is like really luxe, but also somehow managing to sell us like uber effectiveness. I'm a sucker for the way that Charlotte Tilbury markets and packages her products, and I've always wanted to be like a Charlotte Tilbury type girl, even though I don't own anything. Is that the case? That's so funny because I think of myself as like a real Charlotte Tilbury fan. I think of myself as being like a Charlotte Tilbury type of consumer, and yet I actually don't own any of her products. Isn't that interesting? I feel like I know everything about her brand and her lip colors. I've pored over them, but I never brought myself to buy one. Maybe because of the price? I don't know. The thing that I want, the thing that has been on my wish list for months and months and months, if not years now, is the Film Star Bronze and Glow in light, like the lighter one. I'm so enamored by the idea of bronzing, of being bronzy, and it's partly because I can't really be bronzy because I'm so pale that most bronzers just look like dirt on me. They really do, even the ones designed for light skin. So it's off the table. I just need to say this out loud. It's kind of off the table for me to buy a product that's marketed as a bronzer and use it. Just none of them are light enough. None of them are right. My strategy is to find blushes that are on the bronze end of the spectrum and use those in the way that people use bronzer. That's probably why I've never bought Film Star Bronze and Glow, but I've always told myself that I would eventually buy it. And it's not even designed for light skin. The color is light to medium. And when you look on the Charlotte Tilbury website, there's a little section that's like, see it on your skin tone. And they've got all these models with different skin tones from light to medium under this one product that's marketed light to medium. And the lightest colored girl is a redhead. When you click on her and enlarge the picture to see how this product looks on her, you can't even see the product on her skin. She's wearing blush, and she has really chiseled cheekbones, which are because she's a model, not because she's wearing bronzer or any kind of contour. And she looks great, but she doesn't look bronzed at all. Like, she doesn't look like the skin has been warmed up with anything except blush. So I look at that and I'm like, yeah, you can even the model picture on the website betrays the fact that this product isn't really designed for people with super light skin. I don't know why I want it so much, but I do. I'm saying all of these things about it, but that's not changing the fact that I want it. Like, I want it. It's on my list. I want it. This is the exact kind of thing that it helps me to go into my collection and find a dupe for or find something better than it, because my desire is really confused. Like, it's confused and baseless, and it has to do with things other than me thinking that this product would be beautiful on me. So I looked in my collection for something that is comparable to this and immediately picked out my Kevyn Aucoin Neo Highlighter in Sahara. This is what I use for bronzer. You've seen it, it's broken. This is the darker side and this is the lighter side, and it's an ombre. It's definitely on the bronze side of things. It's bronzy, it's glowy, but it's got that rosiness going on, and it looks really natural on me. It's my perfect bronzer. And again, as I was saying before, it's not marketed as a bronzer, it's marketed as a highlighter, which is, I guess I can understand that. It's like a bronzy highlighter. And I can kind of control how dark I go with it because it's got the light side and an ombre fade to the dark side. It's just perfect. It's the perfect bronzer, and it's a luxury product, and it's in a beautiful compact, and it's got a highlighter mixed in with it. It is everything that the Charlotte Tilbury promises to be, but it is perfect for me. It is in every way, I know this without a shadow of a doubt, better for me than the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. It just doesn't have the word film star in the title. Anyway, in many ways, this last one is kind of the weirdest and funniest one because it's me wanting a thing that I know that I don't really want, if that makes sense. Whereas this, if I were to ever lose this, I would replace it. Like, that's how holy grail of an item this is. I never need to buy another bronzer again. Or rather, I never need to buy a bronzer since I have this product. I do not need any kind of bronze glow anything since I have this product. This is my perfect one. I know I'm saying this to you in a really intense way, as if I'm like lecturing you. I'm talking to my future self. I'm like trying to brainwave into the future and remind myself that buying a bronzer is a dumb choice for me, because I have this and it's perfect in every way. It's way, way better than any bronzer I could ever want, and it's way, way better than Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. Thank you so much for watching this video. Comment down below one thing that you have that's better than one thing you want. I'm really curious to know what you guys turn up when you go through this process in your own minds and in your own collections. And don't forget, whatever you have on your plate, take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.